check a few things. Make sure the stream is actually going. Okay, nice, nice. It's actually going. So to set up the stream, I waste so much time doing this, but it's necessary. It's definitely necessary. Because gotta announce that you are streaming. So there we go. All right, basic start. But the thing is, like, what I've noticed for these games is the people who play a little bit more passively, they are closer to beating me in the end. But I think there's more learning opportunities if you do actually fight, and there's probably more chance that you'll beat me in a fight. You'll beat me in those kind of games, mainly because like you might be able to catch me on one of my like bad mistakes. Because if you just play passively, I'm going to be much better. I'm just essentially going to be much better at identifying the... I'm going to be way better at identifying the bigger moves than you are. So if you play passively and just kind of like let me take advantages, you probably have like... I probably have a better chance of winning against you, but you might come closer in terms of points. You might actually come closer in terms of points. Which one do I connect? Do I just do this? Yeah, let's just do this. I think that's the way you're supposed to play it anyways. Because now like that isn't much of a threat. I don't want... I'm going to go under because if I pincer and he does this, I don't want him to build up like the upper Moyo. That's actually becoming a more popular move. I don't really know what to think about that one. Okay, so if I Hane again and he does this and clamps here, I have to go down. I would have to sacrifice those two, but I'm actually okay with that, strangely enough. Because I would get the upper stone. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I would do this in a regular game, because cutting here and then cutting here is bad for me. Okay, that's fine. That gives me a pretty big advantage on this side, because this isn't necessarily the best... this isn't necessarily like the best shape for him. Because like cutting here and cutting here would be problematic. I would have to sacrifice these two. I would probably get this stone, which is, I think is actually worth it for me. Yep, it's probably the best move for him right now. I think I'm going to double Hane this one. Do I want to double Hane? I don't know. I think I'm going to double Hane, because I would rather just have the corner space. That is a move that I often see people do. I'm not really sure if that's a good move or not, though. Because now, like, you can't do this, because I would just take all four of these stones. So you're kind of... Okay. Yeah, I don't believe that's a good move, because I'm just going to do this. And now you're sort of stuck. Yeah, you are kind of sort of stuck here, but what do I do, actually? So if I do this, I mean, I think I do this, because if I don't want to give him this side, so I'm going to do this. You're basically stuck giving me all of this side at this point. That's the main problem here. Yeah, see, like, the thing is, if you do this, like, you're forced to do, you're forced into doing this, right? And now you're giving me, like, all this side plus these two stones. You don't really have a choice anymore on what you give me here. Like, this is way more damaging than what you would have actually had if you just took the original. Okay. Feel like doing this is actually going to be the best option. I know you're trying to break my territory over here, but you've already kind of given me the corner. I think that's a bad move, actually. I should have played down here. You've already kind of given me the corner. All right, that's fine. That's what I wanted out of him. I do this. Okay, that's fair. But now I think he's actually a little bit in trouble. I'm going to attempt to kill this group. I guess he could just ignore me again and try to build up this territory down here, because that's fair. I will eventually invade here, though. All right, these stones are going to be kind of problematic for him now. Like, my group in the corner isn't really under threat, and there's basically no like uses of these stones because they're all already taken, and that's why like might have double. That might be better off if I just double haunted. I guess he's just giving me these stones. And trying to build up this over here. But his territory isn't really that solidified. Of course, it does actually depend on... This, of course, will actually depend on what I do on this, because this is actually a really, really strong Moyo. This is actually, he hasn't played bad, because he actually has used this pretty successfully. And this is actually a really big Moyo here. Obviously, it's not solidified, though. Probably this would be the best move. Just try to get this entire side. I mean, it's not going to work. Okay. There's a bunch of attachment moves you could do in here. I'm actually going to invade kind of down here to see what he does. It's actually a hard invasion because his Moyo is actually really, really strong. I'm going to try this instead of my usual fly beneath tactic. I actually haven't played this variation. I actually have not played this variation before. I really haven't played this variation before. It's not one I actually like all that much. It does actually get him a lot of points, actually. The tuck under was probably a wrong move. I should have maybe flown under or just jumped and then tried to make two eyes in here. I'm actually not that great at invading these things because this is actually a really thick Moyo. Okay, let me see if I can do this. I don't think I can. I don't know how I would make two eyes here. This is actually a strange situation for me. If I do this, does that, block. No, I don't think I can do that. I think I have to do that. That's actually a lot of points that he actually got there. He doesn't have the corner like I do over here, though. It is Sente, but I did actually give out a lot on the side. Get a decent sized corner. Now, I think he might actually go on top here, which, oh wait, that's actually a bad move by me. That's a really bad move by me. The cap is too strong. Should have played over here, because I think I already pretty much have more territory here than he does here. Because I got the big, I have both corners. That's a bad play by me. Because this is too strong in here for me to actually try to live in. That's actually a bad play. It's a bad play by him, though. Because, like, my territory down here is pretty much solidified. I think just, like, capping over would actually give me a much harder time. See, like, I'm not really afraid of him invading my territory. This is already pretty much there. And I can always, like, now he doesn't have a way to actually, this is probably the closest game I've played in all these, like, teaching games. Like, that group's not really under threat. I can come up anytime. And I can just jump down here. This is not a big thing for me. I can always jump down here to break his territory. Like, he can break a couple of points here, but that's not that many points. He could try to live that group in there, though, I have to say. But this is actually a much, much clearer break. There's actually a lot of problems with him trying to attack that down there, so not really that afraid of that. There is a way he can dual threaten these. Not a bad move. Securing some territory right there. But then this is like a big, big problem for him. The main problem is he didn't actually cap. The main problem is he didn't actually cap me when I initially invaded. The cap would have been incredibly hard to deal with for me. Okay, still trying to kill this down here. It's actually a little bit troublesome. Okay, that doesn't really work. What about this? What if I do this first? No, but then he can do this. I think I can always go that way. Let's just extend down. I still have the head out here, so I'm not too afraid. See what kind of Aji I can actually get in here. That's what I'm most interested in. Not so much like I can always just run down here, but that eventually that will threaten that group. Do that. There's always that. For right now. That's a mistake. He does break some of the territory down here, but oh, that's definite. I think that's a definite mistake, letting me take this. I don't really have to fight that. He could try doing this and then coming up the other way, but then he has 2 cutting points to actually go through. That's what he's going to try to do, but since this group's not threatened down here, I don't really care all that much. Got to be careful with the group down here, though. Just got to be really, really careful with that group down there. I have a lot of liberties up here, so you can't, like, that group's dead now. That group's essentially dead now. It's a massive, massive problem for him. He might be able to rescue this, but I have that down there, so it doesn't really help him all that much. It's also not the right move. That's actually not that big. I'm going to come up here first. There's only really one answer to that. That's a huge problem if he doesn't answer. I don't really know why that's that big to him. There are some points in here, but it's really not that big. Like down here would actually be much, much bigger. Rescuing these two, and over here is actually a lot bigger than this. So either you give me the corner or, yeah, but see, like if you give me the corner, I'm gonna push first. That's actually not good. I should just disconnect here. And that's what I'm gonna do now. So like you either give me the corner here or you give me this.
You have won.
So this was actually a closer game for me than, this is actually a closer game to me. This is actually the closest I've actually had on this game, on one of these games, because I thought there is a chance that I would actually lose here. Because like, you know, like right here, I'm actually not up by that much. Like, yes, I do have this, but I'm actually not up by that much. There's definitely problems here. I mean, there's definitely going to be some problems here. Because if I do this and you do this, you get these two in here. So there's definitely going to be some problems there. So like, but black has a bunch of cutting points too, but if I were him, like, pretty easily, like, this is very problematic. If I connect here, there's definite, like, issues here. As you can see, there's definite issues here. So I actually have a lot of problems here. I would have to sacrifice these two stones. So going back to the beginning, I do see more people. Here, I might have just been better off doing this. But thing is, like, I just follow the Joseki. I think this might have been the better move. I'm not sure. But either way, I did this. That's not a good move. Not exactly sure, like, I think like either this or this is better. I wanted to fix both things at once, but I guess not. He does that. I go under. You know, here, because of this shape, I was probably better off doing this. That's the other thing I could do. I was probably just better off doing this or this because of the shape that he's trying to form over here. I gotta keep that in mind. Because, like, you want to break his shape over here, since he already has these stones, so this was actually, like, probably the best thing to do. So I did the under. I was kind of expecting him just to do this, honestly. That's kind of like the normal Joseki. Would have come out pretty good for him. Doing this does solidify my corner. And doing that, I think I might have been better off just doing this. Because by doing this, like, I have the Hane and the disconnect here later. I should have probably just connected. Doing this, I was too greedy for the corner. But, like, there's also, like, a clamp move here. So this is actually a pretty, I think this is a bad move by me. I think I should have just connected here. And if he extended out, you know, like, this Hane is always here. So he would actually have to, like, you know, back off quite a bit on the Hane. So definitely the connection's better than going down. Double Hane here. I'm taking some risks, obviously, because this obviously is a really bad thing. And here, obviously, like, he's going to be better off doing something like this. So obviously, like, the double Hane is not preferred. Like, if he does this and I do this, like, he can just capture these two, and that would be disaster for white. So once I do this, like, his best move is definitely to do this, because this is like, I would be forced to doing this, and this is pretty good for black. He captured the two stones. I have this side, but this side's pretty big as well. So the double Hane and the cut's pretty good. I have to connect, obviously. So I'm taking a lot of liberties, because, like, when he Hanes here, I generally have to do this. And then, like, this is still a problem. So that's why, like, this move is such a bad move. This is just a connection move. So why that move's a really bad move. Corner. So when I double Hane, you just do this. I mean, this is a much better result than what he actually got, because then you have free reign to, like, invade in here if you want. This actually makes him fall behind by quite a bit, doing this sequence with me. Capture that. He does this. Because, like, you know, before when I captured these two stones, like, they weren't clean. Like, there were a bunch of uses you could actually go out here with. But now, like, there's no use cases here. Like, they're all just taken. Your group's basically alive, but it's not, like, super, super strong. And these two stones are kind of just wasted. So that's obviously not a good move. That's obviously not a good one either. I think here, maybe, like, something like this is better. I'm not really sure. You can't just leave this alone, but you Hane back up, give me a Hane. He does this. I'm going to leave that alone with just the pincer here. And then doing that, that's probably not the best move. I probably should just invade here right now, but I just do this. This actually isn't anything. So realistically, I should probably just reduce the Moyo, or, like, just invade right now, most likely. But I decided to play this game. This actually does favor black. But, you know, I'm still ahead, like, because I have solid territory, I'm still ahead. This move, he pincers. I mean, if he does, like, over here, I'm just going to do over here. And obviously, I am targeting, like, this coming out, obviously. So I think he does pincer in the right direction. I was thinking about doing this. but I'm not really sure how I would actually live, and that would actually give him the corner. So I decided to go under here. That's good. I withdraw back. I think the correct move is actually probably to do this, because if he does this, then there's always the option to, not that. There's always the option to do something like this. If he does that. If he just gives you the top stone and tries to kill you, well, then he is going to have a tough time killing you up there. So I do think this was the right move. He might have chosen to do this. But then he's kind of in a hard spot too, because then you have this. Or like if he does this, this is, like you have this, and this might be a little bit harder to kill. Although I'm not really sure if, if I have the confidence to actually, like, if I was playing against a similar ranked person, I'm not really sure if I have the confidence to live in here, because this is like really, really strong in here. Maybe something like this. So this tuck was probably not the best move. I was also thinking about just doing this, but then again, like I said, I don't really know if I could actually live in here. But it was always kind of a bet. I under tuck. He does this. That's not a very good move. He does that, and that separates these two. I do that. He does that. I think here, that might actually be the best move, because now, like, this is kind of hard to live, and obviously, like, I'm kind of just flat here, and that's, like, I would say this is probably the best move. You kind of get the same result, but I think you're a lot more solid here. So I do this, he does that. I'm going to do the Hane first, and then come down. This is just to make him a little bit weaker here. And of course, like, that Hane was probably a bad idea, but I wanted to make sure this was alive. I wasn't sure about the Joseki in there, so I do this. Now, this is a bad move. This is his big mistake. He should have just capped here. If he capped here, I don't really know what I would have actually done. I think I miscalculated this, because there's no way I can live in there. Here, you would, like, even if I did this and you just did this, this would be kind of difficult for me. I would have to extend up, and then, I don't know, like, this ladder doesn't work for me. So I don't really know what I would do. I mean, you obviously, if you're white, you don't really want to play this ladder, because you have all this, like, all these, like, cutting moves here. And if you just do this, well, that's just wasting a bunch of stones and giving him a ton of territory. So you really don't want to do that either. So the cap puts me in a really hard spot. If I do this, that's not a good spot either. Yes, there is definitely some Aji with all these cutting points here. But I don't know, man. It's just a hard thing. Like, yeah, the ladder works here, and, like, you really can't do anything here. I mean, well, okay, never mind. You could do that, because then he can't respond. But he could just, he could honestly just do this, and yes, you get 2 stones, but he gets all of this, which is not a good result for white. Because, like, you can't really, I mean, I guess you can, yeah, you can't really do anything about this, like, your ladders are just kind of like, I'd say your ladders are just kind of like dead. And there's really no play here that would, yeah, like, the ladder actually works here. So, like, there's no real play here. Because, like, you're still missing a liberty out here, there's really no play here. And I'm not really sure what I would actually do. I might do this first, right? So if you answer this, then you definitely might have some Aji here. So, like, if you ever do this, like, I suppose, like, if you do this, you want to test this first, or you want to test this first. I guess, like, if you test this first, come out, and then have him do this, and then you can actually do this, because he can't go this way. He does this way, I suppose you could try something. I suppose like after this, you could try invading like this, and then essentially like coming out something like this. Then like cutting here. Because now if you cut here, he has to go this way. And then he kind of has to do that. And then you have like, you definitely have plays here now. Right, so like remember that. Remember that. Like before you invade up here, you should cut here first, just to see the reaction. Like the smart move would just be to do this and then connect, because now there's nothing here. But then white's actually reduced it substantially, and white has some moves here as well. So that's what actually white should do right now. Just reduce this territory substantially, because now like your territory here is much greater than his in here, and plus you have all three corners. At this point, you would probably like do something like this. And this one he kind of has, I mean, he could do this, I guess. But, you know, like, that's pretty good for white. And at this point, like, if you just like kind of like reduce his territory, like white would actually win. White would actually win pretty easily. Because like white, I think, just has more territory right now than black does. It might not look like it, but remember, white has this corner, and white has all this in here, and I think, and white has this corner, and now you have Sente, you can do this. So like you have all three of the corners. His territory here, you've shrunk pretty substantially, and plus like that's also Sente. That's essentially also Sente right now, because if he doesn't answer, like this is a Ko, and that's actually pretty big. So like white would definitely do something like this right now. And if black does, you know, like something else in response, or something else in response, like that's always Sente right there. And I think like white just has more points. He could try to live in here, but it is kind of difficult, I would say, to make eyes in here. So essentially at this point, white would pretty much just take the points and win, I would guess. You know, just these corners, like that corner is very, very damaging. It's very big. And I don't think black has quite enough points here. And like you could try for something. You could try for like a deeper invasion at this. You could actually try for a deeper invasion at this point. Maybe something like this, but that gives the chance for something like this. So I don't know if I would actually do that right now. I mean, at this point, you just have to count the points, and if you see that you're actually ahead, if you actually see that you're actually ahead, like I would just do reductions, and I'm pretty sure like white is actually winning here, because like white has both the corners. This side's territory isn't really that big either, and like you've actually reduced this side to just this, because this is, I think, like probably like 30-40 points, and this is probably like 30-40 points. He maybe has 70-80 points. You already have 10 here, you have some here, and then like this is pretty massive. If you actually count the territory, I believe white's a little bit ahead. I do believe white's a little bit ahead. I definitely screwed up in this invasion down here, and like these moves here just weren't great for me, because that does actually let him solidify that. But like I said, I should have done this first, and see how he reacted. He would have to do this, and then like invading here, would be like much more successful, because you could come out this way, and then you could, you know, like do that. Then you can do something like this. And you could even do something like this, because if he doesn't, then if he doesn't respond, then there are problems here. Even though like this not being connected up here is, is essentially like kind of a lifeline for white. So definitely, you know, if you do this, I mean, that's pretty hard. That's really hard for him. Actually, like, you know what? You know what? If he connects this way, if he actually connects this way, like you can just not do the invasion at all and just do this, because this is actually he still has to protect this. And then you could either just directly do this, or you could bend down and essentially, or you can do this and just play this way. And actually, it's better if you don't invade at all. Actually, it's actually like best if you don't invade at all. You just do this directly. He would have to do this. That gives you Sente. And then you might just think about like maybe doing like, then you might think about doing this. He has to go down here. He has to keep crawling, and then you have this move as well. So that's actually how I should have invaded, because there's very little way he can actually take care of this. Yeah, I should have like calculated this out. I should have just like Atari'd here, come out, have him do this, break here. The sequence is very important. Cut here. If he does this, obviously I just happily take those stones and I have a huge advantage. I mean, and plus, like, he doesn't really have any way to fix this. He has this. He does get like some of this territory, but you've broken a lot of his territory, and that's just a huge advantage. And there's still Agi on the corner. Like this corner, this 2-space jump is not clean. And that's also why like the 1-space jump is better. This 2-space jump's not clean. I think not exactly sure how this would actually work. Yeah, I think this is Cohen here at least. So yeah, like you would do something like this. And even if he does this, even if he Atari's here, you have the option to keep doing this, because that would force him to do this. And then doing this like this isn't very clean. Right? Like if you do this, he's still kind of in trouble if you do this. Right? Because if he connects down here, then you have this move. And he has to fix again, and then like, you have this move. So there's actually a ton of stuff you can actually do here to actually expand your territory and diminish his. So that's kind of how you would actually invade this. This is how you would invade this. Yeah, that's definitely how you would invade this, because like you have to do this. And the thing is, like, if he just does this and gives you the 2 stones, then like that's a pretty big loss for him. And plus, he still can't solidify this very well, because like if you just kind of like cut here, he has to give you these 2 stones now. Because he has to give you these 2 stones, and then like you're expanding your territory out here. And there's still some usage of the stuff in here, and you can still like bump this to actually maybe take a corner or something. So there's a lot of invasions that you could actually play here. And plus like you could still, if he tries to do that, he would fix here actually. But this is still not great for him. This is still not great for him. Which way is he going to Atari? If he Atari's this way, then he's just kind of like screwing himself here. And remember, like, he has to connect this to make sure this is co-live. So if he does that, then like you have a bunch of moves. You have a bunch of moves this way. And like he still has to work on killing you and surviving this group in here. So he's actually in a pretty hard spot. Like this is definitely not that easy to kill, or just, even this is not that easy to kill. Because like, first of all, like this is one eye here. And I probably could have done this better. And like coming out here, you probably can get an eye somehow. So like this is actually pretty problematic for him if you do it this way. If he does this, he's just dead, right? So he has to go this way. And he actually has to close this right now. And he has to do this. Otherwise, if he tries to close you down here, you're probably just gonna beat him in terms of liberties. And you also have the option of doing this. Although I don't favor this because this is going to be harder to live. And you can't kill him because it's co-live in here. So I really don't favor this. I would actually favor... I definitely favor I actually favor coming down this way. And then fighting him this way. Actually here, you know, I might just be willing to just take the stab and try to kill him here. If I was doing this. Because he doesn't have that many liberties. Yes, he can do this to you, but you're actually still out over here. You're still kind of like out over here. And like I said, he doesn't actually have that many liberties. He's probably one ahead here, yeah. But he also like leaves, he kind of leaves that as an out as well. So yeah. Or you might not have to play it that way. I mean, you might just play this. If he tries to kill you, I mean, if he tries to kill you, there's other options as well out here. I don't think you're going to beat him that way, but the thing is, I don't think he can clamp you here because there's too many Ataris here, so he wouldn't be able to clamp you here. So if he does this, then obviously, you know, you can just kind of come out this way, and he's kind of weak. And remember, he still owes you a move in here. He definitely still owes you a move in there. If he tries to live, you know, you just do this, and then cut here, and he has to kind of like play with you kind of like here. Or you could just simply do this and like live, right? So there's not a good way he can deal. There's not a good way that he can deal with you in here. So there's a lot of invasions based on all these cuts. So like my invasion was probably like the worst move I could make. My invasion was definitely the worst move I could make. But so that's going to be the review for this game. He made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't fully calculate it out, definitely, and this is hard to calculate it out. I actually did gain a lot from this game. Because it did actually allow me to play that. It did actually allow me to play this. It did actually allow me to play this out. And it allows me to see all the invasions that were actually available in here. So hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. And I will hopefully see you guys next time.